Hello, hello, welcome to the Ninja Robot Studio stream where I play video games and VR experiences and talk through them from a UX designer's perspective. Game design has a very, very direct and heavy influence on VR and XR design, so it makes sense that we would study game design in order to create better immersive experiences. So that's what I do. I do both 2D and VR experiences here. Right now, we're studying branching narrative because branching narrative is a very important element of gaming that enables you to not just for gaming too. So it's a great way of giving people freedom to make decisions that affect the outcome of the game, which makes for more interesting gameplay than just playing through and being told what the story is and none of your decisions really matter. It's a more interesting and engaging way of playing a game. And but outside of gaming, it's also very valuable for training. So my background is in creating XR training, VR training specifically for safety with consequences. And branching narrative is how we create those decisions, decision points, and what decision they make it changes the outcome of what happens. So if they make the safe decisions, everything's great. If they don't make the safe decisions, things don't go so great. Sometimes they don't go well at all. So this is all done with branching narrative. So I'm studying it because I want to understand it more. It is its own field, it is its own expertise. You can understand and learn some about it. But it is, again, it's a field that you get into that takes a lot of time to build and develop and get great at, just like any other skill. So I'm not going to be an expert. I'm still learning. And here I want y'all to learn with me. So today we are going to be playing Life is Strange. I've been playing it blind. I haven't played it before. And it is what I've looked up from it. It is a multi-branching or a multi map of many endings. So premise of the game is that she learns that she can manipulate time to change the outcome of things, and sometimes that she also learns the hard way that this can be very devastating to do this, to manipulate time and change things. So that's the premise of the game, and it is what would be called a map of many endings. And if you want to learn more about the different types of branching narrative, you can check out this article that I've been sharing. We check that out. I put it in the chat and learn more about that. And if you scroll down, you'll see map of many endings. That's what I'm talking about here. So let's just get going. Again, I'm playing it blind. I've never played it before. I'm playing Life is Strange episode 1. Get to it. This is the original version of it. I'm not playing the remastered version or anything. The free episode 1, available for free on Steam. So I am just going to play. Let's look at their options real quick for audio, because I have issues with audio. So I'm going to turn down the sound effects a bit and the music volume slightly so that I can hear better, because I need that. Language. I'm going to keep the subtitles on. They're on by default. That's nice. That's an important thing for VR, especially if you're doing training, because if they could be distracted by something in the real world that then distracts them from the important information that they're learning in training. So it's important to also have it accompanied by text so that they can get the information and let them go at their own pace. I mention this all the time. So let's do a new game. Life is Strange is a story-based game that features player choice. Consequences of all your game actions and decisions will impact the past, present, and future. Choose wisely. Switch to controller. That was not manual progress, but they did leave it up for quite a long time.
am I? What's happening? I'm trapped in a storm? How did I get here? And where is here? Wait, there's the lighthouse. I'll be safe if I can make it there. I hope. Please let me make it there.
There's no manual progression. I'm not manually progressing the content at all. Oh, I have to move her. Right. I was expecting it to be a video. Because I didn't have any interaction up to now. Oh, I wish I could control the motion of the camera a little more. I'm sensitive to motion, so at the lighthouse. Ugh, it's too touchy right now.
Holy shit. That was so surreal.
Famously called film Little Pieces of Time. But he could be talking about photography, as he likely was.
Okay, I'm in class. Everything's cool. I am okay.
From light to shadow. From color to chiaroscuro. Now, can you give me an example of a photographer who perfectly captured the human condition in black and
I didn't
white?
fall asleep, and that sure didn't feel like a dream.
Bueller?
Weird.
Diane Arbus.
There you go, Victoria. Why Arbus?
Because of her images of hopeless faces, you feel like totally haunted by the eyes of those sad mothers and children.
She saw humanity as tortured, right? And frankly, it's bullshit. Shh, 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 shh. Keep that to yourself. Seriously, though, I could frame any one of you in a dark corner.
Okay.
And capture you in a moment of desperation.
Look at this crap. How can I show this to Mr. Jefferson? I can hear the class laughing at me now.
So there's a few issues with this that are just like general UX best practices for VR specifically. I know this is a 2D game, but there are issues with that as well. But it's all auto progressing, auto playing, so I can't stop. If there's a distraction, I'm gonna miss all of that. If there's a real life thing going on, which happens, it's gonna happen. Then I can't stop this, and I'm gonna miss something. That first sequence where it started playing, or when I started playing the game, it was just manually auto progressing through this story, this starting sequence, and that was very important information. That is kind of the premise of she's got to figure out what's going on here, I guess, and maybe or maybe not. I guess the game makers decide how important that is. But if you don't want to just start the game, yes, we did have the ability to manually start when we start playing the game, which is great. This is what we want. We don't want it to just automatically start playing that. We had a start scene and we were able to say, hey, now start the game in this new save slot. That's great. We want that. But then as soon as it started playing, it was just auto progressing through the story. And then it took me, I don't know if you noticed it, I noticed it took me quite a while to realize, oh, I can actually play now. I was waiting for the next dialogue to come up because it wasn't giving me any control over it. And then, oh, suddenly I have control. So I didn't realize, oh, right, now I can play. I don't remember there being any kind of locomotion indicator saying, okay, move this way or not. Maybe there was and I just didn't notice it. But maybe I was distracted because I haven't drank enough coffee today. But it's important, especially in VR, to give a manual option for manual progression, because especially for training. So like if you are, it's important for games too, but especially for training, because if you are playing, going through an experience and you're conveying very important information, whether it's for the game or for training, especially for training, you don't want them to miss stuff. And then that, of course, so if you're going to play content at the beginning and like cinematic that way, make sure it's not something detrimental to the outcome, right? It can be drama that's not going to affect the whether or not they're able to understand the story. So make sure it's not super important content, especially if it's training. Air quality is not so great here right now. So yeah, that, and then also on here, I'm using a PlayStation controller, but I'm seeing Xbox controller or Nintendo controller buttons. So that's not a great practice for game design. And of course, this may have originally been deployed on a specific console. I don't remember where this was originally deployed, but because this is an old game. But when you deploy something to different platforms, this is called cross-platform design, you want to make sure that you're supporting all the different controllers. So like if you're supporting something to Steam, you want to make sure that it supports the different types of options that are available on Steam. Like, for example, with a PC-based Steam game like this one, you could play with an Xbox controller, you could play with the PlayStation controller, support the different controllers, because now I'm having to translate what's B, because I don't have a B, I'm on a PlayStation controller. Which messes up, because it says this is better with a controller, so I switched to controller, and now it's showing the wrong controller buttons. So maybe it's not better with a controller. Maybe say specific controller. But if you're in VR, it's very important because the controller's different on the different headsets. So like if you're using a Vive, it's going to be a completely different controller than if you're on an Oculus Quest with Link or a Valve Index or whatever. So you want to, with VR especially, make sure that you're supporting the different controllers that are available on the platforms that you are supporting, so that it doesn't break the immersion and break the experience while they're spending time trying to figure out how to interact with the experience, because the goal is to let them enjoy the game, not spend their time trying to figure out how to interact with the UI. So design accordingly. Now I have to figure out what back is.
And any one of you could do that to me. Isn't that too easy? Too obvious?
Okay.
What if Arbus chose
I do
to
love my
capture
analog
the
camera.
height of their beauty
I should take a
and
quick picture now.
She had a brilliant eye. So
Oh.
she could have taken another approach.
I have to admit, I'm not a big fan of her work.
Guess the
I believe Max has taken what you kids call a selfie. A dumb word for a wonderful photographic tradition. And Max has a gift. Of course, as you all know, the photo portrait has been popular since the early 1800s. Your
But I
generation
wanted to
was
look
not
at the
the
rest
first
of
to
the
use
stuff on
images
the
for
journal.
selfie expression. Sorry, I couldn't resist. The point remains that the portraiture has always been a vital aspect of art and photography for as long as it's been around. Now, Max, since you've captured our interest and clearly want to join the conversation, can you please tell us the name of the process that gave birth to the first self-portraits?
I don't know.
I did know, but I kind of forgot.
You either know this or not, Max. Is there anybody here who knows their stuff?
Louis Daguerre was a French painter who created daguerreotypes, a process that gave portraits a sharp reflective style like a mirror. Now you're totally stuck in the retro zone. Sad face.
Very good, Victoria. The Daguerrean process brought out fine detail in people's faces, making them extremely popular
I
from
think
the
I
1800s
would be bored to
onward.
death in this class.
The first American daguerreotype.
If anybody else looked at this, what would they think?
A October, my favorite month, best weather of the year. I love watching the leaves change color, turning into tiny flames, but it's still too damn hot, thanks global warming, and I can't bust out of the big coats, sweaters, or scary movies yet. Soon. Kate let me borrow The October Country by Ray Bradbury. I haven't read much by him, which caused Warren to almost revoke my geek cred before I held up my copy of Battle Royale, but he nails the autumn atmosphere of small towns. The last time I wore a Halloween... Holy crap. This is just a jumble. At least I'm trying to climb out of my cocoon. I shouldn't expect my life to completely change after a few weeks of Blackwell Academy, as my parents love telling me, on a loop, you have all the time in the world. So she got accepted in a Blackwell Academy. Is this really from 2013? Okay. And I have to keep telling myself in caps I'm going to be a Blackwell. I'm going to Blackwell Academy. Got a scholarship. That's nice. Oh, she's in college now, I guess? No, this is a high school. Okay. I guess this is how we learn her backstory, just to see if Chloe and I are still even friends, but I do wish Chloe could have moved with us to Seattle. She's in Arcadia Bay. So the smallest back in the town, I was excited about leaving. Yeah. Hoping Arcadia Bay will turn out to be a good idea. Didn't realize how much crap I had to pack until I had to pack all my crap. Yeah, it'll get worse as you get older. So nobody will know me except for Chloe, who knows how different we are. And there will be so many super cool chances for my photography to get exposed. Just want things to be different at Blackwell. First entry for my new dorm room. Okay. Can't wait to decorate. Guess she's sketching. Blackwell. Look at that. Told myself not to whine so much, but damn, the day started like Christmas morning. Barely had any dreams because I was so pumped to start my first official day of my new life. That teacher's rubbing me the wrong way. So like a dork, I couldn't figure out what to wear, so I chose what was on the floor. I'm no good with names and faces, but I picked up some names like Kate, Brooke, Taylor, Alyssa, and how could I forget Victoria Chase? Entitled, rich, stylish, I could feel instant judgment when she looked at my raggedy ass clothes, as if I'm at Blackwell to strike fashion poses. I don't miss school. Though that wasn't fun, along with my general social unease, I thought it would be easier being back. Call the ambulance. I don't want this day to end. To end all woe is Max. So, this is just... He thinks he's a genius. Is this the instructor? No. Made a new friend, Warren Graham. Serious geek, dark and witty. Okay. So not the teacher. Okay. No, wait. Mr. Jefferson assigned us a ton of reading. Jefferson is super cool and super chill. Okay, so maybe it's just the voice actor that's not doing a good job on it. Because when he replied and he slammed on the desk, that doesn't sound like chill and cool at all to me. That seems like, dude, you need to chill. Why are you slamming on the desk? Okay. I guess it depends on your background. So homework is kicking my ass. I bet the teachers grade harder just to stop you from feeling special. Okay, I really don't want to read through a teenager's thoughts here. So, but this is how we're getting the background info of what's been happening, I guess. This is a lot. So I don't know about you, but I would get bored doing it this way, learning people's backgrounds this way. But it's a way of doing it. And it's just interesting because it's got stickers and stuff. But I'm just skimming through it. I'm not reading the whole thing because it's just all over the place to me. Okay. That's where we started. So we're still in the same year. And back is E. Oh, and so this is where you see photos she's taken. Do we look? We can look at details. What is A? Okay, A is the X. Not only is Mr. Jefferson one of the best photographers in the world, he's also my teacher, and one of the reasons I wanted to come to Blackwell. He's preparing us for how tough it is to be a full-time artist. He acts like he understands my own work and obsession with analog images. Victoria, the elite of Blackwell Academy, and a total bitch. And I hate saying that. I just don't know why somebody who's so rich and beautiful needs to be so mean. 18-year-olds at a prestigious academy should be evolving into artists and scholars, not reality show contestants. She does everything but sit in Mr. Jefferson's lap. He keeps his distance, though. We can all tell she's trying to win the Everyday Heroes contest. I'm sure it drives her crazy when there's somebody she can't buy or seduce. And for some reason, I was always drawn. So we're just learning background information about the different main characters. So Kate Marsh is friend, right? Even though the other students make fun of her abstinence campaign, even if they act immature, everybody at Blackwell are seniors, not high school freshmen. She gets a lot of shit. In fact, I know she involved in a lot of religious groups, but she doesn't preach to me, so I don't care. But she's been extra quiet and introverted the past couple of weeks. She looks like she's in zombie mode. I wish I could help her, but I can barely help myself. Although she's an adult, I bet she's not allowed to watch R-rated films. I've been there. So then there's Victoria Chase. She does everything but sit in. Yeah, okay. So we're on episode 1, and that's all I have. I haven't bought any of the rest. A photo of the school. And then there's messages. 18th birthday is 21st September. Did you want to get tea later? Absolutely. Okay, wait, was that today? I don't know what day it is. I think it's October, right? We can't believe it's been 18 whole years. Make sure you want coffee. Make sure you check whatever. That was on October 5th.
Type self-portrait was done by Robert Cornelius. You can find out all
My
about
little
him,
camera bag is battered, but still kicking.
or even online. And guys, don't forget the deadline to submit a photo in the Everyday Heroes contest. I'll fly out with the winner to San Francisco, where you'll be feted by the art world. It's
We've
great
only had
exposure,
one
and you can
option so
kickstart a
far.
career in photography. So Stella and Alyssa, get it together. Taylor, don't hide. I'm still waiting for your entry too. And yes, Max, I see you pretending not to see me.
Victoria doesn't waste a second kissing ass.
You're submitting your photo for the competition. Everybody in class is turning in a photo, so you see the dilemma?
I know, Mr. Jefferson. I just worked so hard on the shot, and I'm sure you know what it's like to be consumed by your work. I just really think
This might make a cool shot.
It's an important cultural event, and I want to represent Blackwell Academy.
You have just by participating, by putting yourself out there in the world. Now, no matter who wins, this is just a bump on a bigger road. I don't want anybody to feel excluded from this process, but I also want everybody to know that this...
Even her school books are gift wrapped. I can't believe she made fun of me in class. What is she, 15 years old? And people laughed. Man, he even has the best plasma HDTV for a class monitor. Can't wait to watch some.
I see you, Max Caulfield. Don't even think about leaving here until we talk about your entry. I'd never let one of photography's future stars avoid handing in her picture.
So here's an option. This is a pattern for how a lot of people do it. They give you two side to side. I've seen this in a bunch of different games. But it's different than how Genshin Impact handles it.
I didn't have any time. Way too much homework.
Max, you're a better photographer than a liar. Now, I know it's a drag to hear some old dude lecture you, but life won't wait for you to play catch up. You're young, the world is yours, blah, 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 right? But you do have a gift. You have the fever to take images, to frame the world only the way you envision it. Now, all you need is the courage to share your gift with others. And that's what separates the artist from the amateur.
This is ridiculous. I always get so shy and nervous around Mr. Jefferson. Every time I look at Victoria, I feel like she's talking smack about me. You can never escape the lighthouse here. Even in pictures, the forest around here always looks mysterious.
I'm just looking around the room.
Of course, Victoria has to have the bestest, newest, most expensive. I should have known. She'll have better equipment than Blackwell. That was amazing when Mr. Jefferson took a class picture the first week. Even though I didn't want to be in the picture at all, it was fairly fucking cool to watch him at work framing us. I love seeing Mr. Jefferson's awesome photos on these magazine covers.
I have to remember which button A is. Top Vine is Grunge Dead, featuring the latest works from Mark Jefferson, 10 Reasons to Get Electronic Mail. Wow, this is from 2013. Electronic mail's been
That printer is
around.
amazing. I'd love to see how it reproduces my pictures. I could pump out a whole gallery show with that thing. When I don't suck. Someday.
Polaroids look great.
Obviously, Blackwell spent bank on the computers here. Looks like somebody was already working on this. Cool. Kate looks so sad and quiet today.
Hi, Kate. Oh, hi, Max.
You seem quiet today.
Just thinking too much.
Yeah,
I hear
don't want to
that.
gossip.
Wanna go grab a cup of tea and bitch about life?
Thanks, but not today. I have to go over homework.
No worries. Let's hang later.
Sure.
Can I leave now? Oh, there's a photo contest poster.
Here's the poster for the contest. Mr. Jefferson really expects me to enter. Why? I don't know if I'm ready for my 15 minutes of infamy.
Submit an image that best represents yourself or others in heroic action. Ugh. The winner will fly to San Francisco and represent their school in the National Everyday Heroes competition at the Zeitgeist Gallery. You may submit one image on approved paper for consideration. Approved paper. For those 18 and under, a parent permission form must be included. I barely remember the days of parent permission forms. Can I leave now?
You didn't tell me how cute I looked yet.
I was about to.
Just getting you
You
ready.
always
Welcome to the real world.
Just cute.
hot.
Then I might send you a special picture.
Because Max wants everybody to see how good she is. She plays it so shy.
I need a serious timeout in the bathroom. Splash water on my face and make sure I don't look like a total loser.
I hate that class. It's so fucking boring.
She's so fucking shy. She takes selfies with a giant camera.
Taking a while to get to any big choices. At least it feels like. Okay, I can walk now.
Evan doesn't say much to me, but his photos are very cool.
So I can't look at Alyssa?
Alyssa is always texting, but she doesn't hang out with a lot of people. I hate having everybody see inside my locker. I love that picture of Mom and Dad. Hello, Jack. Kiss, kiss. Andy, you look totally fabulous, as usual.
So the only indication here is that... Hello, how are you? Just now. There's an indication that you can walk by the change in camera view, looks like, but that's it. No other
Dana
indication.
talking to, I think his name is Justin. Dana is on my floor too. She's such an archetypal, gorgeous cheerleader. They must make them in a factory. I shouldn't be so catty. Dana is. I've seen Brooke hanging out with Warren. She seems like his type. I've seen Brooke hanging out with Warren. She seems like his type. I hate
How are you
bully
today?
jockstraps like Logan. And he's a Vortex Club member. Poor Daniel, he's so nice. I wish I could beat the shit out of Logan. I hate bully jockstraps like Logan.
So we
And
don't.
he's a
We only know.
Vortex Club member.
Okay.
It looks like she's been gone for months.
Missing April 22nd, 19 years old. Tattoo on calf of a dragon, star on the inside of left wrist. Have you ever played this game before?
That's so messed up. I should contact them to find out what I can do. As if I am.
Over the past decade, climate change has altered the Oregon coastline, including fish and fauna. This has helped decimate the state's fishing industry, especially in Arcadia Bay. Raise your voice against pollution and save our historic town. That's the same missing person
I
poster,
wonder what
right?
actually happened to her. Good thing I left my AK at home.
Yeah.
Empty. Good. Nobody can see my meltdown. Except for me. Just relax. Stop torturing yourself. You have a gift. Fuck it. When a door closes, a window opens. Or something like that. Okay, girl, you don't get a photo op like this every day.
It's cool, Nathan. Don't stress. You're okay, bro. Just count to 3. Don't be scared. You own this school. If I wanted, I could blow it up. You're the boss. So what do you want?
I hope you check the perimeter, as my step-ass would say. Now, let's talk business.
I got nothing for you.
Wrong. You got hella cash.
That's my family, not me.
Oh, boo-hoo, poor little rich kid. I know you've been pumping drugs and shit to kids around here. I bet your respectable family would help me out if I went to them. Man, I can see the headlines now.
Leave them out of this bitch!
I can tell everybody Nathan Prescott is a punk ass who begs like a little girl and talks to himself.
You don't know who the fuck I am or who you're messing around with.
Where'd you get that? What are you doing? Come on, put that thing down!
Don't ever tell me what to do. I'm so sick of people trying to control me!
You are going to get in hella more trouble for this than drugs.
Nobody would ever even miss your punk ass, would they?
Get that gun away from me, psycho! No!
So this might be one of the things I can change.
Whoa. What the fuck? How can that be? I was in the bathroom. He shot that poor girl. I held up my hand. And then I was back here.
That's what happened at the beginning, too, with the lighthouse.
I already heard this lecture.
From light to shadow. From color.
Now Kate is being hassled again. And if Victoria's phone rings, this is real.
Now,
Shit!
can you give me an example of a
Man,
photographer
I cannot
who
believe
perfectly
this.
captured the human condition in black and white?
Okay, if I'm crazy, I might as well go all the way.
Bueller?
Diane
Can I
Arbus.
actually reverse
There
time?
you go, Victoria. Why Arbus?
Because of her images of hopeless faces. You feel like totally haunted by...
I better rewind.
by
Yeah, I have a
I did.
PlayStation controller, so...
Can you give
I
me an
actually
example
did
of
it.
a photographer who perfectly
I'm a
captured
human
the human
time
condition in black
machine.
and white. Anybody?
Matt,
Bueller?
my pencil
Diane
case is still in the same place.
There you go, Victoria.
Keep it together, Max.
Why Arbus?
because of her images of hopeless faces.
When I took
You feel like totally
still the
haunted
same
by the eyes of
stupid
those
picture,
sad mothers and children.
so everything seems the same as before.
Tortured, right?
Wowzer, my old broken camera is new again.
Keep that to yourself. Seriously, though, I could frame any one of you in a dark corner and capture you in a moment of desperation. And any one of you could do that to me. Isn't that too easy? Too obvious? Shh. I believe Max has taken what you kids call a selfie. A dumb word for a wonderful photographic tradition. And Max has a gift.
I know I'm not
Of
dreaming
course,
this.
as you all know, the
It's
photo
real.
portrait has been popular
I can
since
tell.
the early 1800s. Your generation
So I
was the
can go
first
back
to
in
use
time.
images for selfie expression.
What if that girl isn't dead
I
yet?
couldn't resist. The point
Can I
remains
save
that
her?
the portraiture has always been a vital aspect of art and photography for
I
as
need to go to the
long
bathroom
as it's
quickly
been
and
around.
check it out.
Now, Max, since you've captured our interest and clearly want to join the conversation, can you please tell us the name of the process that gave birth to the first
So I can
self-portraits?
get.
I'm
I
sorry.
feel sick.
I feel sick. May I be excused?
Nice try, Max. But you're not going to get away that easy. We can talk more after class. Is there anybody
Oh,
here
shit.
who knows their stuff?
Jefferson wants to keep me after
Louis Daguerre
class.
was a French painter
And I
who
need time to
created
save that girl.
daguerreotypes, a process that gave portraits a sharp reflective style like a mirror. Now you're totally stuck in the retro zone. Sad face.
Very good, Victoria.
What if I rewind
The
again
Daguerrean process
and give him the right
brought out
answer?
fine detail in people's faces, making them extremely popular from the 1800s
So I
onward.
have.
The first
Icon
American
means you
daguerreo-
learned a useful fact. Fast forward.
Now, Max, since you've captured our interest and clearly want to join the conversation, can you please tell us the name of the process that gave birth to the first self-portraits?
Okay, so I know the answer now.
The Daguerrean process, invented by a French painter named Louis Daguerre around 1830.
Somebody has been reading as well as posing. Nice work, Max. The Daguerrean process made portraiture hugely popular, mainly because it gave the subjects clear, defined features. You can learn more when you actually finish reading the assigned chapters. Max is so far way ahead of everybody. And guys, don't forget the deadline to submit a photo in the Everyday Heroes contest. I'll fly out with the winner to San Francisco, where you'll be feted by the art world. It's great exposure, and it can kickstart a career in photography. So Stella and Alyssa, get it together. Taylor, don't hide. I'm still waiting for your entry too. And yes, Max, I see you pretending not to see me.
Max, you are not crazy. You are not dreaming. It's time to be an everyday hero.
Yes, Victoria, you still have to do your homework this week. Even if you're submitting your photo for the competition, everybody in class is turning in a photo. So, you see the dilemma?
I know, Mr.
Excuse me, Mr. Jefferson, can I talk to you for a moment?
Yes. Excuse you.
No, Victoria. Excuse us. I'd never let one of photography's future stars avoid handing in her picture.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have one.
Given your selfie output, I'm sure you must have about 1,000 pics by now.
It'll take a long time to find a good one.
Max, don't wait too long. John Lennon once said that life is what happens while you're busy making other plans. Go on now. Don't let me stop you.
Quickly undo an action using rewind.
Everybody in class is turning in a photo, so you see the
I
dilemma?
know, Mr. Jefferson.
Excuse me, Mr. Jefferson, can I talk to you for a moment?
Yes. Excuse you.
No, Victoria. Excuse us. I'd never let one of photography's future stars
So
avoid
we can try a
handing
different
in her
option and see
picture.
how that changes anything. So now I can go back and say John Lennon says. Or I can say I'm not avoiding. So something from the conversation just got added to our options when I listened. That's interesting. So if I choose John Lennon said, does that
I'm on
change the
top of it.
outcome?
I think John Lennon once said that life is what happens while you're busy making other plans.
Max, you're on fire today. All the right answers. Good. Make sure you finish working on it by today. I have faith in you.
Okay. So I can even change conversation options. Okay.
I hope I have enough time to get to the bathroom. Please,
You-
please.
It's
I
this way,
can't
right?
tell anybody. They'll think I'm crazy.
T.
When can you?
Okay. And move faster.
You know I don't tease.
I hate that science class with those nerds.
What's that got to do with anything?
So first of all, why'd that dude enter the women's bathroom?
Okay, Max, retrace every step. I washed my face. I shredded my photo. Then the butterfly flew in. And I took a photo.
Leave them out of this bitch.
I can tell everybody Nathan Prescott is a punk ass who begs like a little girl and talks to himself.
You don't know who the fuck I am or who you're messing around with.
Where'd you get that? What are you doing?
Don't
Come on, put that thing
ever
down!
tell
How
me
do they
what
do
to
that?
I need a
so
hammer to break it
sick of
open.
people trying to control me.
You are going to get in hella more trouble for this than drugs.
Nobody would ever even miss your punk ass, would they?
Hammer.
That gun away from me, psycho!
I'm not affected.
Don't ever tell me what to
Move
do.
the car.
I'm so sick of people trying to control
Where's the
me.
hammer?
You are
Oh,
going to get in
okay.
hella more trouble for this than drugs.
No way.
Don't ever touch me again, freak!
Oh, so I already picked up the hammer. Okay.
Another shitty day.
That did not happen. This cannot be real. I just saw a girl get shot and then saved her. What the fuck is going on? Do not freak out.
I don't smell the smoke.
Hey, do you hear that fire alarm? That means you should be outside.
I had to use the bathroom.
Girls always use that excuse.
Excuse for what?
Wow.
For whatever you're up to, your face is covered in guilt.
The alarm tripped me out.
Then trip on out of here, Missy. Or are you hiding something? Huh?
Jackass.
Thank you, Mr. Madsen. The situation is under control. There's no emergency here. Leave Miss Caulfield alone, and please turn off that alarm since that's your job.
Is a bit of a dark game, but it's interesting. Okay, so now what? Leave. There it is.
You look a little stressed out. Are you okay?
I'm just a little worried about my future.
You're sweating pinballs. Is that all you're thinking about? You can always be upfront with me, Max. Or have you done something wrong? Is that it? Well, Max, talk to me.
Post talker. I think that it would be a problem. Ah, it's difficult. I'm gonna do the report Nathan thing. I don't know if I would do that.
I just saw Nathan Prescott waving a gun around in the girls' room.
Nathan Prescott. You sure?
Yes, he was in the bathroom talking to himself with
I would
a
hope I
gun.
would do that because that
I
would
saw
save
everything.
people.
He was babbling like crazy.
Okay, slow down. Slow down. So now you saw this without him seeing you.
I was hiding behind a stall. I have the right to be there. It's the girls' room.
I know. I just want to be completely clear what happened. Mr. Prescott happens to be from the town's most distinguished family, and one of Blackwell's most honored students. So it's hard for me to see him brandishing a weapon in the girls' bathroom. So what happened next?
Then
Yeah.
he left. I ran out here wondering what to do. Are you gonna bust him?
This is a serious charge. I'll look into
Yeah.
the matter personally. Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Yeah.
That's it? After what I told
We'll
you?
continue this discussion later in my office. Please go outside with the rest of your class now, Miss Caulfield.
Of course this academic drone won't do anything since the Prescott family owns Blackwell now. Should I rewind and change my story?
Won't be able to undo. So can I not fast forward? Yeah. So I can't report it. That's
You look
annoying.
a little stressed out. Are you okay?
I'm just a little worried about my future.
You're sweating pinballs.
See if the options
Is that all
changed.
you're thinking about? You can always be upfront with me, Max. Or have you done something wrong? Is that it? Well, Max, talk to
Close
me.
talker. That's intimidating, dude. Hide the
I
truth.
just got sick in class. Female trouble.
Except you're wandering around like a zombie. And do you think that's the first time a student has used that line on me?
It's the truth. I felt dizzy in Mr. Jefferson's class.
Just tell me what you're hiding. You can trust me.
There's nothing to hide. I got sick. It happens, you know.
There's that Team Toot again. You know, I've heard enough. Don't think I don't know what goes on around here. You've only been here for 3 weeks, and you're already causing conflict. I don't think your parents will approve when they find out.
Just not gonna
Now
talk to
get
him.
outside with class. Please.
No, he does not buy that at all. I may have just flushed my scholarship down the toilet. Yes, I could rewind and actually tell him the truth.
I'm just not gonna talk to him. Goodbye.
Hold on, Max. Come back here. You look a little stressed out. Are you okay?
I'm just a little worried about my future.
You're sweating pinballs. Is that...
I can fast forward. Good. Neither of these is good, but I don't really have a choice. It's one of these two options. The right thing to do would be report Nathan, and then if anything bad happens, it's now that dude's fault. To hide the truth. If this was an IRL situation with all the school shootings and things going on right now here in America, you would report. That would be the right thing to do. And going to go with the first option I chose.
I just saw.
Skip it because I've already seen this. Okay. Because I don't have a choice. Either one has a consequence. It's nice that they warn you of that, but now I can't change the outcome now from this moment on once I leave. So this is a point of decision here. Guess I'm leaving. And good thing they have more save slots. But I wonder if you can save at different points of decision so you can go back to those points of decision and change it later.
Prescott, please come
Oh,
to the
jeez.
front office. Thank you.
Uh-oh. That's the same missing poster. Ooh, this is a teacher.
Miss Grant sure is dedicated to that petition. Hi, Miss Grant.
Excuse me, Max. I know everybody loves being asked to sign a petition, but would you do Miss Grant a favor and hear me out?
Sure, I always have time for
okay.
you.
I thought I picked
What's
the wrong
the
one.
petition?
David Madsen, our chief of security, wants to put surveillance cameras all around the campus. Halls, classrooms, gym, dorm rooms, etc. Blackwell Academy should be a high school, not a high-security penitentiary.
David Madsen. But she doesn't know about Rachel, so I can't say that. I don't remember who David Madsen is.
David Madsen doesn't need another excuse to harass students here.
Max, this isn't about personalities. This is about protecting civil rights and our school's legacy of freedom. Blackwell Academy has a noble heritage, from the Native Americans who founded this land to the pioneers who shared it in peace, not fear and violence.
Well's that old? The Native Americans.
The Native Americans?
The tribes who were here first, who welcomed the settlers. Both cultures found a mutual symbiosis and thrived. Now, before I assign you homework with this lecture, will you please sign the petition to keep our campus from going back to 1984?
Sign or don't sign. I think the cameras would have helped.
Miss Grant, I totally respect your passion and knowledge, but some security cameras make me feel a little safer.
I'm not against security, Max. We should all be concerned when private space becomes public. Your generation has been tricked to think everything should be recorded.
So let's see what happens when I don't sign. Okay, wait, how do I access...
I better read Warren's text before he blows my phone up.
How do I access the journal? Okay, I didn't even have an option. Okay. And it's auto-playing. Okay. Different days. What day is today? Today's the 7th. Okay. Max, can you get my flash drive? I need some info in space. Hello? Sorry, running late and saying today. I'll meet you in the lot. Looking cool. You'll see my camera will be ready. See you shortly, I hope so. What is exit? How do I exit? I don't understand that. Because that I don't have that button. Exit.
Okay, I better get to my dorm and grab that flash drive.
I'm just guessing. So, where's the dorm room? And that button, I'm having to guess what button that is. So there's a checkpoint. See. Okay. How do I get to my dorm room? Is there a map? Where are the dorms? Okay, here's a sign. Can't walk faster.
Come on, Logan, bring it, brah.
Yeah!
I need to go to my room and return Warren's flash drive.
Okay.
Go in. Use. Stop blocking everything.
Oh, look, it's Max Caulfield, the selfie hoe of Blackwell. What a lame gimmick. Even Mark, Mr. Jefferson, falls for your wave hipster bullshit. The Daguerrean process, sir. You could barely even say that. I guess you got your meds filled. Since you know all the answers, I guess you have to find another way into the dorm. We ain't moving. Oh wait, hold that pose. So original. Don't worry, Max. I'll put a vintage filter on it right before I post it all over social medias. Now, why don't you go fuck your selfie?
Oh yes, Victoria. I'll get your bony ass out of my way.
Do you understand English? Get lost.
I was just trying to.
I could crank the sprinkler up and give Victoria and her clones incentive to beat it.
Janitor's right there. I would feel like doing that with the sprinklers. Sure. There has to be more than one entrance. I'm guessing something's about to happen. Go in there. I would also be concerned about messing him up if I did that. I wouldn't want to do that.
I need to figure this out.
So you're gonna make me rewind. Hey, what? Maybe I talked to him. I don't know.
I could crank the sprinkler up and give Victoria and her clones incentive to beat it.
Oh, but I can't talk to Samuel. So I don't know what.
I must have missed something. I should rewind. I can't grab that. Samuel... A paint bucket next to Victoria. I see a plan.
Nothing there, Sam.
Okay, let's see if this works.
Doctor.
Nice, bro. Okay.
I can't talk to him. Nope.
Sweet. Oh, dude. No.
Can't sit.
Close, but no cigar. They have to be right under the bucket.
What the hell? Thanks so much for almost ruining my outfit. You're so lucky that didn't fall on us. We'd see your ass so fast.
Awesome.
Think, Max. Rewind and find something.
Not gonna mess with the ladder.
I don't want to mess with that ladder and hurt poor Samuel. I just want to get, a paint bucket next to Victoria. I see a plan. Okay,
But
let's
it
see
didn't
if this works.
work unless there's something
Do you
else.
understand English? Get lost. Keep walking, hippie.
Close, but no cigar. They have to be right under the bucket.
We'd see your ass so fast.
Yeah.
I need to figure this out.
I don't see any other options though. So all I can do is tamper with the bucket, look at the ladder.
Keep walking, hippie.
This is where I'm gonna probably stop
There
for the
goes
day.
Samuel da Vinci to paint the window.
I'm gonna need to quit for the day because I've got other work to do. This is as good a place as any to stop. I'm gonna go ahead and stop. Thanks for let's look at what we've learned so far from this. Give me a second. We fix the view mirror. Okay, so one of the things that we do after each play session is do a roast on bud. So I'm going to start with roses, and what those are the things that went well. What was the highlight? What did you like about this? I like that you have that when you rewind time, the dialogue options change. And I also like that, and if you want to participate, you can as well. Roses are things that went well, things that were a highlight, things that you liked about it. And what we're thinking of is from a branching narrative perspective. And if you're watching this later on demand, you can also still comment in the comments afterwards. But from a UX perspective, from a game design perspective, thinking about branching narrative is what our focus is on. Is what do you like about this? Not like about this. So I like that you can rewind time to change outcomes. And then when you rewind time, dialogue changes. And it can change based on what you've heard on conversations you've heard. And that means that you have to pay attention to the conversations. And there are clues in the conversations. And that means that they have had to really think through, the writers had to really think through all of the dialogue and possible outcomes and decisions, dialogue decisions. And that could be background dialogue. It could be the dialogue that you're choosing, or the actual like conversations the player has directly with an NPC. And so, what I'm wondering is how did they create the branching narrative? And we're going to start studying actual, like, I'm going to try to find some tutorials that we can do together that are free, that are available to the public, that we can do together and try to study this together. It's like, how would they have made this branching narrative and this branching dialogue structure to come up with that um, map of many endings with so much of the conversation and even the narrative all matters and to the outcome. Pretty intricate how they've done it. Seemingly non important things are turning out to be important, which is pretty interesting. Inconsequential objects or conversations could actually matter or change the outcome. And what are some other things? Uh, And again, if you're watching this later on demand or you're watching now, I've got the roses up in the bottom right corner of the screen so you can see, thinking through this again from a branching narrative perspective, what's going well here. So those were the things that stood out to me the most about this. Um, if I wanted to, I could go in and take the time, um, backstory of all the characters is actually uh, in a personal journal. And this is kind of an interesting way of handling it since you don't have to, you kind of figure it out. If you're like that one girl's um, self important. But then that makes me wonder actually, she may be behaving that way because she could just be entitled. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why she could be acting the way she's acting. So you don't have to write into the dialogue in some awkward way because oftentimes when people write backstories into the dialogue and they're trying to like force the backstory and the characters on you, it's done in a way that's really awkward and it feels, like I said, forced. Whereas this is just coming into the snapshot of the life without a bunch of dialogue telling backstory, which I often don't like how they handle that in games. So reading it out in a journal, and listening to her thoughts about a person as she walks by them feels more natural, really. Don't have to force background story into dialogue so that we know it. And um, it feels more natural to have snapshots of her thoughts about a person as walking as you're walking by them, when walking by them instead of talking about them. More natural this way because we think about people when we see them. So this is like a more natural thing. And then um, reading her thoughts about the people and past conversations in the messages also seems like a more natural, and it's also kind of more of a solving a puzzle instead of having everything handed to you. So that's an interesting way of doing the backstory. So some things, that's all I can think of right now. If anyone has any comments that they can think of later about what they liked about the branching narrative here, branching dialogue and choices, those decision points. So I also noticed that you can rewind to reset a decision point, which I like. So you can reset a decision points, the last decision point, I think, and redo that. Um, Instead of having to restart. And I also like that you can actually fast forward if you've already gone through the dialogue. And you're repeating it for a different outcome. So you don't have to rewatch the whole thing over, which can get tedious quickly. So then what I don't like is that there is no manual progression on the story narrative dialogue. It only stops when there's no choice that I saw. I can go back in settings and see if there's a setting, but I don't remember seeing one. You have to wait for a point of decision to pause. There's no apparent way. To change that setting or pause the story if something happens IRL that distracts you from it. Oh, we're on Thorns. Let me fix that. And I know that at one point there were two options, and I was able to play through the two options to see, okay, this future outcome could be I'm ruining my chances for a scholarship, or there's going to be a lot of backlash because this person is a member of a very influential family. Neither one of those choices are good. Can I take option C? But there was no option C. Um, so there are constraints. So we can learn from this. There are constraints, obviously, in the choices that you're given. There has to be. I'm gonna just plop this losing connection to my okay. I'm just gonna plop this down here and just as a note, there are constraints on options, e.g., report versus don't say anything, and the outcomes. So, so like, there's no option, no option C. There's constraints on what I have a choice of saying because I guess it's based on her personality, and then there has to be constraints whenever you're writing narrative like this, because it could go insane, and there are limitations to what you can do with branching narrative just naturally, especially if it all has to fit within a storyline and a universe that they've created here. So there do need to be constraints. Okay, so no choice for manual progression. And then so obviously the bud for that, we're going to want to have a bud for every thorn. That was the biggest thorn that I had, was that there's no manual progression on the narrative dialogue, at least that I could tell. I tried to find a choice for it um, previously, but I couldn't find a choice. I was also trying to get it to where it wouldn't lock my mouse inside because I'm streaming, so it makes it difficult to switch back and forth between screens when you're streaming. It's a fringe use case, maybe, but because a lot of people prefer to lock the mouse within the camera, within the game to, keep you from accidentally clicking off the game in the middle of it, because that messes up your gameplay, especially if you're in high difficulty content, like a boss fight or something. Happened to me before. Um, Thinking still, can't think of any thorns. That was like my biggest thorn, is like that manual progression thing. I like that you can control the amount of rewind well. Based on conversations. Let's see. All the thorns, I can really think that was the biggest one. And so we want at least one bud per thorn. So talk about buds. So the buds would be for this is, of course, add options for manual progression of the dialogue. But it's also, it depends on your game and the mechanics of the game. Because maybe they're wanting to force you to listen like you would in real life because you can't pause in real life. Um, it depends. Mechanics and goals of your game. So you should make it, think through what are the goals, because for example, this game may be wanting you to listen more intently, like in like IRL, to increase challenge. Like maybe it's part of the challenge to do this this way. So it depends on the goal and the purpose of your experience. But in VR, specifically and specifically training, depending again on the goals and outcomes of what it is you're doing, for the most part, you want to provide an option for manual progression. But then, like in this case, maybe the game mechanic and the goal would conflict with that. So it's there's often in most cases, but sometimes you need to break that rule depending on the goal and the outcome of what it is you're doing. So like if you were trying to train someone to listen, it's like this is the goal to teach people how to listen because this is a lost art today. Because often whenever we are in conversations, we're thinking about what our next response is and we're not listening, not actively listening. So there's an art that is lost here. And so if you have training that is teaching someone how to listen, you wouldn't want manual progression because we have to get used to actually listening because you can't pause someone mid conversation. Actually, I've done that before because I just said pause out loud, which was pretty funny, but it worked. It was very funny social interaction. But anyway, most part, you can't do that. And um, so, anyway, it depends, right? For the most part, though, you do want that manual progression option. But sometimes, again, depending on the mechanics and the goals, you may not. So it's a decision that you would need to think through. But do it with intention. Don't just leave out auto manual progression because it's too much work or you don't think people like it. It's not a matter of what people like and don't like. It's a matter of what people need. So make those decisions wisely. So if we were thinking about this for XR, let me get that out of the way because we're not talking about buds anymore. So if we were thinking about this for XR, we would, like I said before, manual progression is very important for accessibility and especially for training. However, it depends on the goal. So let me just type here. So like for example, what I just said, if you're training how to listen, that soft skill, annual progression could be counterintuitive, could be to that goal. So you have to make that decision wisely. But for the most part, it's very important that you do that. And again, thinking about, and I've talked about this in previous gameplay sessions, is intentional placement of dialogue boxes in XR. Make sure that the dialogue does not occlude important elements of the experience. We would want that same thought here because it still applies here as well. And let's see what else I've said at other places. NPC behavior is going to need to be more natural and intentional than in 2D. That close talker, maybe that was part of it, but that their body language in this game, and maybe it's intentional, but the body language so far of the people in this game has been to me aggressive. If it's in 2D, it's not as big of a deal. But in 3D, in VR, if you're in there and you're the one looking at that person, like that principal walking up to her saying, I'm safe, you can talk to me. That was aggressive. That didn't feel safe. at least to me. The body language wasn't matching. It's more forgivable in 2D, but it is very noticeable in XR because I've experienced this when I've designed for training with NPCs. That it is very noticeable in XR when you have the body language off, when the body language isn't right. But again, I haven't played enough of this game yet to know maybe that's intentional here because there is a dark side of this town and we're seeing pretty quickly that there's a dark side to this town, so um maybe that's part of it. Maybe it is intentional. So but then like all of the little interactions on all the little objects like the posters and stuff that could still be done very easily in VR as well. That's easily translated. You could have a glow or you could have the little controller icons in there. And Anne Frank's house is a good example of how that's done. And if you want to check out Anne Frank's house, it's a historical, just little experience where you can go into virtually into the actual hiding place where she was during the World War II, and they handle that very well. So it's very simple to do things like that, indicate what you can and can't interact with. That all's easy enough to translate. Um, but the important things are placement of the dialogue boxes because you don't want to occlude the view of the world, and it needs to be like somehow in relation to the character that you're talking to so that you know who you're responding to and stuff. There are some design patterns that you would pay attention to make sure that you're doing that well. And manual progression, again, is very important. But again, depending on the goal and the purpose of your mechanic, whether it's training or not, very important to include for accessibility reasons. And for example, classroom settings. If you're in a classroom setting, you need to be able to pause at the very least so that you can have a conversation with your class about something and so forth. So it depends, again, on your situation. So pay attention to that and keep that in mind whenever you're designing for this. And that is all I can think of for today. We can look through some of these to see if there are any other things that I said that about manual and autoplay. Pay attention to design patterns. Yeah, I would say that again. It's like pay attention to the design patterns that are in existing 2D games for your dialogue. Because all those little visual feedback indicators, because there was one point in this play that I thought I accidentally picked the wrong. Oh, that was another Thorn. Um, the controller buttons, because the controller buttons didn't match, the tooltips didn't match what my actual controller was. I had to guess. So that's actually a Thorn. Controller buttons, tooltips don't match my controller. So I have to guess which button does what. So sometimes they have the controllers set up to where it's in that cross pattern, but sometimes it's not there. So when it's not there, I have to guess. So it did help though when they had the little pattern there of the buttons, the placement of the buttons pattern was there, but these buttons are obviously different because it's a PlayStation controller. And so I had to mentally try to remember, okay, which one's B, which one's A, which one's Y, whatever, because here I am using a PlayStation. So that time it takes to mentally translate, okay, which button is this? I'm going to have some indecision. Then at one point, I thought I had accidentally chosen the wrong dialogue. Because that was also had to do with feedback. Um, so then for that bud, I would say proper cross-platform design. Meaning tooltips. Tooltips should match all the possible input methods, e.g., controller buttons. So then we need to add that note over here that we need cross-platform design. And yeah, that was a problem. Yeah. And that is all I can think of for today. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time. I've switched to doing every 2 weeks instead of every week. I'm gonna try to find some tutorials so we can actually that are free that are available for public, so I'm not hurting anyone's content, but that we can study actual science of it together. I'll be looking for that, and we may do that next time. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.